What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of the 5 Takeaways. We're going to take a look at the 2-1 loss against Aston Villa at Villa Park and see what 5 things we can take away from the game. Starting off with number 1, and that is terrible away form.
Yeah, so another game away from home that we failed to win. In fact, another defeat as well. No away wins since February in all competitions. No win in 7 in the league away from home as well. And it's actually our worst away form since 2001 when Daniel Levy took over. That's how bad our away form is at the moment. And we just seem, last 3 away games as well, we've conceded in the first 10 minutes. We're just all over the place away from home, and there's been a shocking set of results. And yesterday was, again, another case of that. We just can't seem to be able to pull out a result or a performance away from home at the moment.
And it's actually worse than I thought, because in the player ratings in the match review, we're talking about the last away win coming in February, but it's actually come in January. We played Fulham. It was January, not February.
January, so maybe we must have won away from home in February. Maybe against Preston.
I'm looking at it now. Preston was January as well.
Was it?
Yeah.
So why is it since February? Who said since February? Anyway, so it must be since January then.
It's January because 28th of January was our last away win at Preston. Before that was the 23rd of January against Fulham. Since then, we've lost to Leicester, Milan, Sheffield United, Wolves, Newcastle, Liverpool, Villa, and draws against Everton and Southampton.
Wow. Terrible. Worse than I thought.
Yeah.
There you go. Terrible away form. Terrible away form.
But look, let's move on to number 2, and that is promising Bissouma.
Yeah, and Bissouma came on for half an hour, had a good cameo, and was probably a shining light in what was a very awful day for Tottenham. In fact, in his 30 minutes, he made 31 passes, which is near double the 16 passes Ollie Skip made in his 60 minutes. He made 6 progressive passes as well, which is one of the most on the pitch in that time. He added energy, added a bit of fight as well, where he was able to win the ball high up the pitch a few times, and it was a really promising cameo from Bissouma, and first time he's appeared as well since February, since we beat Man City and he came on as a sub. So hopefully this is a start of a good something for Bissouma to build on.
Yeah, absolutely, and we didn't watch the game together obviously for the first time in a while, and that's the first thing I messaged you after the game. So just something positive. Bissouma looked good when he came on today, and I think he was definitely the shining light for us yesterday, and which was a terrible performance all round. And he looked like to have energy. He looked to have confidence. He's probably one of the most forward-thinking Bissouma displays that we have seen in a Spurs shirt. And I've always been of the thinking, even though when he hasn't been putting in good performances, that there's a very, very good player in there. And I think just a different system and a different way of playing will bring the best out of him. And I think we saw that yesterday a little bit. And I'm just excited to see what can come out of Bissouma. But we just need better players around him. That's the fact of the matter. But I would like to see him start the remaining 2 games of the season and see what he can bring. But I was definitely happy with his performance yesterday. But that doesn't change much. But let's move on to number 3 and let's talk about Spurs stifled.
Yeah, and this is mostly the first half. 0 shots in the first half yesterday, which I think is the first time this season Spurs have yet to fail register a single shot at all in the first half, which is really goes to show how easy it was for Villa to stifle us in that first half. Across the whole 90 minutes as well, Spurs only recorded 9 shot-creating actions throughout the whole 90 minutes, which is their lowest tally for the whole season in any Premier League game. So as much as we did have make a late rally and try and get back in the game, we were completely stifled from a Villa side who were very solid defensively, and they had a game plan and it worked to perfection.
Yeah, and I think in the last takeaways we did, or maybe 2 games ago, we were talking about Ryan Mason producing our most shot-creating actions in a game.
Most XG.
Highest XG of a game, and that's followed up by our lowest amount of shot-creating actions, which is a bit of a letdown, to be honest. I think, look, Unai Emery completely outdid Ryan Mason yesterday, and that was shown in all the stats and the way the game went. I mean, even though Unai Emery completely outdid Ryan Mason yesterday, there was still an opportunity for us to nick something out of that game, which was a shame that we didn't, but it would have been completely undeserved, let's be honest. So very unfortunate game for Spurs yesterday, another terrible display, and Spurs were very much stifled throughout the game. But let's move on to number 4 and let's talk about Villa's Highline.
Yeah, and part of their tactics was definitely playing that high line and trying to catch Tottenham offside and squeeze the pitch and trying to win the ball higher up the pitch. And it definitely worked with Villa because Spurs were caught offside 9 times throughout the 90 minutes yesterday, which is nearly double their next highest highest total for the season, which is 5. Villa played a really high line, and Spurs just didn't have the quality to exploit it, and we didn't have the ability to play balls over the top with either precision to time it to perfection or the timing of the run to off, and Villa's high line worked to perfection.
It did work to perfection, and I was calling to see a bit more variation in the play, and maybe that was down to the way that Unai Emery set up Villa and the way they were stifling us throughout the different areas of the pitch. But if you keep trying the same thing and the same thing and the same thing and it just keeps not working, you have to find a different way. You have to. And we didn't seem to do that. And that's down to Ryan Mason and down to the players on the pitch for not implementing any sort of different style yesterday, especially in that first half. And it definitely just provided that result that we got in the end. But let's move on to the last, fifth and final takeaway, and that is Europe fight still on.
And despite the defeat yesterday in a poor performance, Spurs are still 6th as things stand, as Villa go level on points with Tottenham, but Tottenham still have a superior goal difference, with Brighton having 3 games in hand and Tottenham 2 points clear of Brighton. But Brighton do play their next 2 games against Arsenal and against Newcastle, which are 2 very tough fixtures. Villa's last 2 remaining games are against Liverpool, Anfield and Brighton as well, so Brighton and Villa do play each other. So if Tottenham win their next 2 games, there is still an outside opportunity of getting that top 6 spot, given the fixtures that remain for Brighton and for Aston Villa. So Tottenham, it's still kind of in their grasp if they can get the job done, but it's all about focusing on themselves, and that is a very difficult thing to do when we haven't won an away game since January.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that if we can get the job done, I think there's a good possibility that we do finish in the top 6, but I just have no hope that we do get the job done. I mean, I do have a little bit of hope that we can get the job done against Brentford, but going up to Leeds, last game of the season, where it's going to be an absolutely massive game for them no matter what, I just can't see us getting it done. I mean, like we keep saying, no away win since January. And we're going to be asked to go up to Leeds in an extremely important game. Big Sam as well getting a really important point against Newcastle this week. And what did we do to Newcastle? We got battered 6-1, losing 5 goals in the first 20 minutes. So I just have no hope and faith that we can go up to Leeds and get anything, to be honest. Maybe a point if we're lucky, but I just definitely can't see 3 points. So from now until the end of the season, if we do get maybe 4 points, do you think we can still do it with 4 points?
I don't think 4 points is enough.
Yeah, me as well.
I don't think 4 points is enough. I think we need 6.
Yeah, so I am not of the thinking that we are going to get the top 6, and I think that we are going to get that booby prize of getting the Europa Conference League come the end of the season, which nobody wants to see. But that is our 5 takeaways from that 2-1 loss against Aston Villa. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of our takeaways, and put your takeaways as well in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always,
come on you Spurs.